are talking about the future of travel and have a panel of host executives that are going to share some of their thoughts with us today. And while none of us have a crystal ball, I did create something pretty special that I'll show you in just a second, but it is a fortune teller device that will help us through if we're stumped on any questions. So, first off, we're live streaming on all sorts of platforms. This middle one, Twitch, I don't even know what Twitch is, but I signed up for an account. So if you're watching on Twitch, I don't understand it at all, but we're just trying this out. Very fun. We're also going to be on Instagram and LinkedIn posting the videos up after they're done. So you could watch them on that platform if that's your platform of choice. And make sure if you're on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram to make sure to like us or subscribe wherever the buttons are, because we have a great, we have a whole bunch of great webinars coming up that we don't want you to miss out on. But if you are on YouTube, 3 quick steps if you're having trouble commenting. Click the upper right-hand corner icon, create a channel, and then press the create a channel button, and you'll be able to chat. So while we're getting started, what we'd love to do is get a little bit of a feel of the audience that's out there. So go ahead, let us know where you're tuning in from. We know it's from home, most of you. But tell us, if you're in the closet or if you're in the kitchen, we want to know. We're also wanting to hear how optimistic you are about the future of travel and how long you've been in the travel industry. So this is just to give you an idea of one of the webinars that's coming up next week. We have a webinar on how hosts are responding to COVID. So make sure to tune into that. We do have our behind the scenes team that's working with us today. So we have April, Bridget, and Mary, all from HAR. You'll see them in the comments. They'll be chatting with you and answering any of your questions and sending them over to me. And lastly, never miss another webinar. I know there's a lot of online learning going on right now, but make sure to visit hostagencyreviews.com/events. There's over 50 different industry events on the event calendar. So go check that out, see what's coming up. And if you have any events you want listed on there, the listings are all free. So there's a post an event button in the upper right-hand corner when you're on the calendar. So let's see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. And let's go ahead and welcome our esteemed panelists today. So we have Kelly Bergen from Oasis Travel Network. Jen Lee. Hi, Kelly.
Hello. Happy to be here.
So glad you're here. Jen Lee from Travel Planners International. Welcome.
Hey, rock stars. How are y'all doing?
And we have Chad Burt with Outside Agents tuning in.
Hey, everybody.
So good to have you all here. So I promised I'd show you what I created earlier to help us through on the, do you remember these?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I created this and we're going to have a lot of fun throughout it, getting some wise advice from I don't even know what these are called, but it'll be pretty fun. So, well, let's start off with just like the big question on whether you're bearish or bullish about the travel industry, and kind of, let's say, the next 12 months, what you're kind of feeling for that. Chad, do you want to start out?
Sure. I got no choice but to be bullish. Number one. Number two, I've been in the industry for a long time. My parents owned an agency. My first business was in 4th grade, working for that agency, doing labels for brochures. So the stories of the demise of the travel agent have been a part of my life forever. And what I know is that the travel industry model is resilient to the nth degree. So I'm extremely confident that we will turn around. It's a question to when. And I'll put my money where my mouth is. I was talking to my financial advisor regarding what's left of my future, or excuse me, my investments. And I'm doubling down on a lot of segments personally. So I'm extremely confident that things are going to bounce the way they should. It's just going to be a question of when.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, what about you?
So, hey, Chad, give me some tips on what you're doubling down on. I want to know.
Clorox, lots and lots of Clorox.
So I think I've been in the business a long, long time too. And I think Chad will agree with me, as the longer you're in this business and the more you've been through, the more optimistic you are. So, but I'm a little bit of both. So I'm definitely bullish on the industry. It will come back. There is no doubt about it. I know this is a bad event that we're going through, but it definitely will come back. No doubt. I'm bearish on, and I hate to say this, but it's true, earning income at the moment. So for the next 12 months, booking travel, I'm bullish. Bookings are going to come in. You're going to see more and more as we get towards the end of the year. But as far as your income goes, you need to prepare for this. I'm bearish because you're not going to see a lot of income until probably maybe second quarter, probably third, fourth quarter, 2021. Yeah.
Great point. Jen, what about you?
Well, I had to look up what bearish and bullish were because I get them mixed up. It's like hypo and hyper. I don't know which one is which. But I agree both with Chad and Kelly. You know, for me, I've only been in the industry 4.5 years, but I've been in a variety of different industries that have gone through downturn. Real estate was an industry I was in when it started to plummet. And the thing that I know to be true, and every single one of you listening to this needs to hold on to this, and I know we're all saying it, is you are entrepreneurs. You are small business owners. Even if you work for somebody, you need to treat your day-to-day actions as if you just started your business over again. You are at zero again. But the good news is you're bringing a customer base with you. You're bringing knowledge with you. So I am definitely bullish. I agree with Chad. This is the most resilient group of human beings I've ever met, and I'm inspired every day, number one. Number two, I'm bearish with the money portion, but I think you need to pivot. I think you need to pivot and start selling stuff that you hadn't sold before. Travel in America, U.S. destinations. I know I'm sure all of us are doing something to help our travel advisors, sell America. And things that you might not have sold before or thought you could make any money on. That's how you're going to get people to stay connected with you. Give them options.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. So I've been watching. ARC sends me these emails, like these press releases every week with kind of the air volume. And for a while, it was really dismal.
Yeah.
What a misprint. Is that 95% down?
Yes.
And, the past couple of weeks, it's been going down. I think it's in the upper 80s now, which is really exciting, down year over year. What are some signs that you've seen that we've kind of bottomed out and we're not out of the woods yet? I think all of us would agree, but that things are picking up in terms of sales, and we'll kind of grow however quickly going from here. So Jen, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing positive numbers now. We're the cancellations to the bookings ratio, we are now above, like, even with the major cruise lines, believe it or not, now we're above. We've made some overrides. We actually hit some Q1 goals. I'm like, I'm sorry, how did that happen? But we hit some goals. And so I think it's just like anything. So to me, that's where I think the bottom is, why I think we've kind of hit the bottom and we're bouncing back up. We're seeing bookings, and you know what? We're seeing human beings that don't want to be home. Sorry, Americans who think everyone they stay home. They don't. They want to leave their houses, and we just need to do it safely. We need to give them a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, how about you?
So, yes, same thing that Jen said. We're seeing more bookings now than we are cancellations. That's a good thing. A lot of the bookings are rebooks. Okay, so that's you have to take that into account. Don't know if we're at the bottom. What I'm really looking for, I'm looking for that real upturn. And for me, it's going to be that first ship that goes in the water. Okay. That for me, as soon as I see that, even if it's just one ship, I'm going to go, okay, let's, we're off and running. So, Yeah, I don't see it getting much worse, however. But we may, in the stock market, you've got V's, you've got L's. I'm kind of thinking then I'm kind of thinking we're at the bottom. We're kind of in this L, the bottom of the L. We're going to keep going along for a while. And then the V will kind of start up. Okay. But I want to see that first ship in the water.
With passengers, Kelly.
Yeah. with passengers.
I'll volunteer. Let's go.
I'll go.
Let's go.
I'm there. I would get on a ship. I would get on a ship tomorrow if I could.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. With no changes. They wouldn't need to change a thing and I'd be on that ship. I agree.
Chad, what about you? Do you feel like we've reached the bottom and are kind of climbing up, or what's your view?
I'm going to approach the answer to that in two ways. First of all, Kelly, I love when we cite the market because you can watch, the news all day long and say what you will about, major media nowadays, but the markets don't lie. At the end of the day, they tell the hard truth. And what I noted was that yesterday, all three major cruise lines took a nice bump in the market, ranging from 13 to 18%, if I recall correctly. So that tells me the market has confidence that perhaps we're approaching the end of the L and looking at the correct side of the V. Mm-hmm. So I think that's very, very, very encouraging. Number one. Number two, to kind of look at it anecdotally, we handle email marketing for the majority of our agents, and I've seen our open rates go up. They've just over doubled in the past 2 weeks. So we kind of took the approach, let our agents decide what they wanted to promote. Some didn't feel comfortable promoting at all, for fear of, hurting somebody's feelings and stuff. Others felt like, push forward, or to Jen's point, let's promote America and so on. But for a while there, nobody was opening anything. Not nobody, but there was a huge drop. And now the open rates have doubled. I think that's an indicator that the consumer is at least entertaining the notion that it may not be a nuclear holocaust outside, and maybe they can open that front door and exit and go someplace cool. So I'm optimistic in both regards. I also know this, that there's only so far south of zero that you can go. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen the southern regions of hell, if you will, and that maybe it's just hope, but it has to come up from there. And again, to cite you guys, I noticed some of our booking reports now are north of zero. And that's to a large degree people redeeming their future cruise credits, but they're redeeming them. Mm-hmm. So that means that there's a portion of the population, to our numbers, about 35%, that are confident enough to book that cruise and go for it. So I think we hit the bottom, and we're going to probably skip around at bottom for a while. Mm-hmm. We're going to see glimmers of hope periodically, and then we're going to be disappointed, but it will steadily begin to climb again. I say within the next couple months, next 3 to 6 months are going to be critical for us.
And I don't know about you two, but we're seeing 2020 bookings, new bookings as well as rebooks. So it's not that the world is given up on 2020 as much as I see all those social media memes that say so. But and that we don't have to count this year towards our age, which that's going to mess me up because I can never remember how old I am anyway. But, I see 2020 bookings. We see 2020 bookings. They're not as much as the 2021, but there are people who are hopeful for it, that will want to still travel. They don't like that their vacation has been stolen from them. You guys, people's vacations were stolen right underneath their legs, ripped out from underneath them, and they don't like it. Mm-hmm. I love that. We got to get fired up. Well, we got to get fired up, excited, and inspired, and motivated, and be the advisors that you guys are. You've got great host partners that are there for you. All of us are doing it.
And just real quick, if I could if I could, there's an effect out there. I'm going to call it the dang it Disney effect. And I learned about it really personally in the Great Recession. And that there comes a point when people throw caution to the wind. They say, they can use varying words, but we'll say, dang it, honey, we're going to Disneyland. I don't care. Yeah. And they throw caution to the wind, or at least they take, premeditated risk and go for it. And I think we're going to see that very soon. People are tired of being home.
And they're going to go for it in some way. It might not be the way they thought they were going to go for it, but they're going to go for it in some way. The people that are able to do so.
Yep.
Right.
You have to believe.
And I think people are starting to dream again. For a while, it was they were just dead. They were just worried about washing their hands and can they buy toilet paper and can they get sanitizer? Now that's calmed down, that's passed, and they really are starting to dream again. So the best thing that advisors listening out there can do is help them dream again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They may not book right away, but you got to get them dreaming before they book.
But you also have to do it in a way that's not like just dream. You know, I'm kind of sorry, Stephanie, we're taking over the three of us.
I thoroughly
a big trouble.
When I saw who the group was, I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, you just sit back and enjoy yourself, young lady. We'll take it from here. Yeah. But, you know, it's the dream now, travel later. I'm a big believer that dreaming for sure and traveling later can be next week if it's open, right? Like, but don't be, I caution our advisors not to think that people don't want to travel now. They do. It doesn't mean you have to make them do it, but they do want to travel now. And then I'm sure you two have probably had John Chernesky speak to your advisors, who speaks to everybody. So amazing. And he talks about how the highest part of a vacation is the planning and the anticipation.
Yeah.
And that it has nothing to do with the going, because once you get there, it's never as good as you were hoping it would be. Maybe it gets better. If you're not working with a good travel advisor, it's always a surprise. And then afterwards, you're kind of sad that you left it and you don't feel the same way. It's that anticipation. And to Kelly's point, that dreaming, that anticipation is what they are relying on you to do with information, not just posting the video to say, tell me where you want to go next. That's good. But then the next post has to be, here's where I'm sending my people. Here's where my clients are going. Guess what? I just booked this. I just quoted this. You have to connect the two. It's not enough to be all, we can't do that, guys. We got to get in there and get rough and tough and make it happen. Sorry. I'll be quiet for a minute or so.
A minute.
Well, one thing I'd like to touch on is the kind of the role of the travel advisors and with suppliers and how that will change after that, because it's the highest margin for all suppliers. It's much less expensive and more effective than online agencies. So what are your predictions in terms of, how suppliers will support agencies and if the relationships will change at all? Kelly, do you want to take this to start?
Sure. So be prepared for suppliers not surviving. At the end of this, suppliers that you're working with now will no longer be around. And that's just a fact from what we're hearing. So take time now to decide which suppliers have been good to you, which suppliers have been good to your clients, which suppliers have stuck to their terms and conditions like they should, which ones have not, which ones you've had real problems with. And going forward in the future, you need to think about using those suppliers. And I think you also need to think about bringing in your supplier list, narrowing down your supplier list, give more business to a certain set of suppliers. Don't spread it all over the place. Because number one, you need to support them and give them a lot of business so they will stay in business, the ones that survive, okay? And number two, you will be much more important to them the more you use them. So this is a great time to start analyzing that and start thinking about who going forward are you going to use? Mm-hmm. You know?
I want to just use this once. So
yeah.
It took me so much time to put it together today. So what I'm going to ask, what can our question be? What was our question? It was asking about
the
travel agents and suppliers.
Yeah.
All right, magical thing. Now we have a 1, 2, 5, and 6. Which one should we choose?
2.
2?
There you go. Why not?
It all came. Weirder things have happened, like Steph being on Twitch. Yeah. Okay, so
suppliers are going to be on Twitch. What?
So there we go. We've got a hardcore answer there. Chad, what about you with suppliers and agencies relationships?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to look to the market again. The market hates travel agents and has for well over a decade. The market thinks that we're a big old money pit. I'll cite Royal Bank of Scotland, other major analysts out there. And that's a shame because they don't realize the value that a travel agent represents, but the vendors do. How often do you see publicly traded companies go against an overwhelming tide of financial analysis and say, yeah, that's cool, we're not doing that, and stick to their guns? Because the vendors recognize that, as Stephanie indicated, we produce more, we sell higher ticket items, we take care of our clients, we run interference for the storms that come. We're here to help both sides of the equation, the consumer first, obviously, but the vendor as well. So the market has told many of our major vendors that they're idiots for using travel agent. No, RBS, I mean, chewed out a couple of publicly traded cruise lines, and yet they continue to enhance the relationship with us.
Yeah,
so that tells me something right there. The value is known. So I have to agree with everybody that we have to double down with our vendors, focus our business on the ones who A, deserve it, B, could use it, and really try to help out a little bit. Like, I know at the end of the day, I'm coin operated. I'm sure you guys are too, right? I'm in this to make money, right? But I also believe in good people doing good things. And when I see good people doing good things at vendors, I tend to want to get a little closer to them. You know, maybe I can make a little bit more money with vendor B, but I've got good feelings. I've got good relationships. I see good people at vendor A. So I'm going to focus in there. That's to everybody's financial benefit. And I think, call it what you will, but karmic benefit or whatever. But, keeping good people doing good things, I think, is important.
I love that, Chad.
Yeah. And Kelly, just a follow-up question we had come in. So Tony Graf Silverberg is saying, if suppliers won't be around, isn't it risky giving them money for the future?
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely. You got it. You have to really, really think about that. Yes. Chad.
Oh, hey. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is risky. And it's risky because it's called business. We, for a living, take calculated risks. Double check your calculations. Okay. Are they risky because they're up against a wall? Or are they risky because they're protecting themselves more than they're protecting you? I'm coming back to good people now. So you really have to double check. Like I got kids being homeschooled right now, and the number one thing I'm telling you is double check your answers, man. You know what I mean? Double check your question. Make sure you understand the question. Make sure you understand where you're trying to get. So is there the risk of some vendors going out of business? Yes, absolutely. Should you calculate that risk and see if you want to double down on one or two that are a little on the edge? Yeah, remember, it's not your money you're playing with, but there's vendors out there that, I'm not going to name names, but they're struggling to give cash refunds. But it's not because they don't want to. It's that they're making calculations on what the next 3, 6, 9 months look like, and they are concluding, good people trying to do good things, are concluding that it's best that they conserve cash. So they're trying to do that. It's not that they're being greedy. Okay, some are, but I'm saying some aren't. And so we need to kind of focus in on those people that are A, the best for our clients, and B, that we have been able to calculate based on our experience and the input from our hosts and our peers will likely be around for the next cycle, if you will.
And you guys, we also have to understand that they are trying to save their business so that you can have business. And so it is a balancing act. I know, I'm sure all of you guys would get, we get calls from our advisors like, the whole times are ridiculous, and the people are stupid, and it's like, you're right. And yet their competitor doesn't have that same issue. So it's like, why does this one have it and this one doesn't have it? I don't know. I'm not in their shoes. But what I do know is you can tell from the level of communication, the responsive communication. To me, I look a lot at that. I look at how are they communicating? Are they communicating with us on a regular basis? Is it clear communication? Is it stuff that I can copy and paste and send to a consumer, or my agent can send to a consumer if necessary? How are they communicating? How open are they? They're not all going to get it right. They're just struggling. No. They're struggling. They're not all going to get it right. But if they over communicate, crisis management 101, over communicate. If they're doing that, then they've got some smarts behind them, and some are going
And one thing, Tony, to look at too, I think, is if they belong to the USTOA the United States Tour Operators Association. They have, I think it's like $1 million policy for all their members if they end up defaulting, or I can't remember the exact number, but that would be something to take a look at and make sure that the suppliers that you're booking with have some kind of a default guarantee or something.
So just one little addition. So we're advising our members that future travel credits, we're encouraging in a way future travel credits, because that's what's going to keep our business going and that's what's going to keep people traveling. But we're also saying if a supplier will not, absolutely refuses to give a refund, that should be a red light going off. We're advising not to sell them in the future because obviously something's wrong. They have problems. There may be no cash left. So just seriously consider suppliers who are not giving refunds. Absolutely no way. Okay.
Well, we have another question, but I'm going to get to that in just a second. What I kind of like, we were just talking about the travel agency distribution channel. And what I'd like to hear is what your thoughts on the future is after we get through this pandemic. Are we a much stronger but smaller community? Are we the new crowd favorite because travel agents have saved people so much time and effort? Or do we lose market share to the OTA somehow? So Jen.
Yeah. Without giving away any not proprietary, but secret information, there is an OTA right now that has realized that without real travel advisors, they're going to be in big trouble and are trying to partner with travel advisors right now to take phone calls. And Chad, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I wonder if one of your advisors is part of that. But to me, that tells me right there, we are the go-to people. Booking.com went out of business pretty darn quick. Wow, how funny is that? We went out of business pretty darn quick, number one. Are we a smaller community? Nope. I don't know what Kelly and Chad are seeing, but we're seeing people entering the industry now. People who are like, I was furloughed from a job I hated. Now's my chance. I've always wanted to sell travel. We've got new people coming into the industry, people who are part-time in the industry, going full-time in the industry, because they can. No, I think we are definitely the Cinderella at the ball. And I will just go off and say that I think that those advisors that are with host agencies are the ones that are going to win in the big long run. Even against with consortiums direct, if you're not a $30 million a year agency, I have no idea why you're with a consortia direct when you should be with a host agency, right, with a consortia. And so I also think the suppliers are realizing, thank goodness we have good, strong host agencies with really smart advisors. That's who we're going to be doing our marketing business with. Just saying.
Yeah.
Chad, what about you?
Well, let me jump in and say it this way. Jen, you mentioned at the beginning that you came out of the real estate industry.
Yeah.
The Great Recession was hands down the best thing that ever happened to OutsideAgents.com. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys, I'm sure as well. Because we had real estate agents that were suddenly, adrift, okay, and other, self-motivated professionals that knew what it was like to take a stack of business cards and start walking down the street and putting one on one mailbox at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that mindset works very well. By the way, if you're watching this and you're a real estate agent considering changing, no, I'm kidding. Okay, but so I look at it from that perspective. I think that there's huge opportunities here. So on the, has our total number of agents declined a little bit? Sure, absolutely. Just a little, little off the top. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing.
We're all right with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And arguably maybe that's every so often there's a fire in a forest and it's for the best. Okay, I hate to draw that analogy, but you know what I'm saying. But what I am seeing is we're still getting new signups every single day, and they're increasing.
Yep,
so people are looking for that opportunity. They're looking for an outlet for their entrepreneurial spirit. They have a business mindset. They have I know this has a negative connotation, but they have an innate hustle to them. They're out there to make a buck. So I look at this, while there is some doom and gloom in the sky right now, I would anticipate that we will continue to be the favored child of vendors, both in the good times and in the very, very bad ones.
Yeah, probably more favorite. I think we're kind of a safe haven in a way.
Yeah.
I think there may be people that are joining all of us maybe I know some are looking for like a safe haven. But so back to the OTAs. I think people are going to be real leery about using them again. They're going to think twice. I mean, they got burned. Okay. So I see that. That's why agents, advisors, consultants were going to become more popular, no doubt about it. To your analogy with the real estate, I was actually in the real estate business in 2007, 8. Okay.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
There we go.
Right. I took a
full
few
disclosure.
years,
I wasn't. Okay.
I took a few years off from travel. That's a whole nother story. But when that Great Recession hit, it weeded out the hobbyists. It's going to do the same thing here for those people that are just in travel to book their trips and maybe a few family members. I think those people will be gone. A lot of them will be gone. I also think a lot of people who are thinking about retiring will retire, which is not a bad thing. That's okay. And I think it's going to make our business a little smaller, like Chad, a little bit off the top, like Chad said, but absolutely stronger. And what I really like about not necessarily part-time, but hobbyists getting out of the business, I like that because then it's more business that goes to the real professionals, to the advisors that do this for a living, that do this full time. And I think that's a plus. And I would say to those people, get ready. Get ready for more business than you've had before because it is coming. It will take a while, as we've said, but it's coming, no doubt about it.
Well, let's jump into cruises and chat on which one do you think will make a bounce back or like be the first to kind of come back? River cruises or ocean cruises? Chad.
Ocean.
Yeah, sorry. Wow. Everyone wanted that one.
No, I think we were all going to say the same thing. Here's the thing, and I'm going to boil this down to the most simpleton type of thing I can say. Europe's small. Okay, like you go over there on the river cruises, you're pulling up into the downtowns of antiquity, and people were smaller then. The roads were narrower, the buildings were smaller, and it's compact by nature. I think American perception, God bless us as Americans, but we're going to look at that and maybe be just a little shy of that for a minute. I'm very bullish on the river cruise industry as a whole. Again, citing the markets and financing, and I know one vendor just leveraged their ships to get through the next several months, and people are happy to lend them money, so that's a good sign. But ocean cruises are going to happen. Absolutely. They can't stay parked. They can't idle those ships forever. If they've got to sail them with 10 people, they're going to sail them with 10 people until consumer confidence follows. 110% the adventure of an ocean cruise will return. It will return first. And I want to give kudos to, if I may, by name, ships that being deployed by Carnival. They're taking a risk. They really are. And I think they're going to do this the right way. And so they're doing a measured rollout. They're going to see what happens with 8 ships. And I hope I'm not doing the wrong thing here by naming by name, but it's public knowledge and everybody's seen it. 8 ships.
Yeah.
I
think that's a good litmus test for what's going to happen. And so they're positioned to, if it goes well, to expand. If it goes poorly, to contract very rapidly and minimize the impact that it has. So ocean cruises, to your point, Kelly, 100% are happening.
Yeah. It's so funny because many advisors thought it was going to be river cruises because they thought, oh, people feel safer because they can get off the ship. But I think it's ocean as well because it's easier to get to. There's nothing like being on the ocean. Quite frankly, I would much rather be. I like them both actually, but the ocean is really, it's easier to get to, and you're not going to Europe. You can start in the United States and, travel and come back to the United States relatively easy with the ocean cruise. So yeah, I agree.
That's the whole reason it's going, Jen. That's the whole reason it's going to be ocean first is because you can drive to Miami, you can drive to Galveston, you can drive to New York, you can drive wherever and get on a ship. And that's why, yes, absolutely. Which is why Carnival, let's just say, I mean, that's what they're all about.
Yeah.
So they're well positioned. And I'm so happy when I see that, like I said, when I see that first ship in the water, moving out of port, leaving port, I'm going to be jumping up and down. It's going to be wonderful. But I do think, and we'll probably talk about this later, they've got to put some protocols in place.
Some standardization across brands too.
Yes,
I think
yes.
so people know what to expect.
Absolutely, yes.
And very forthright in the way they've marketed, in the way they market what the changes are. Like all three of us said, and I don't know if Stephanie agreed, but all three of us said we would jump on a cruise ship right now if they never made any changes whatsoever, because we know how clean it is and how open it is, and it's not a petri dish. But and most cruise consumers who love cruising would probably do the same. But it's the other people that haven't done it enough to really understand it. And so marketing exactly what it is that they're doing to keep people safe is key.
Right. So that being said, they've got to market their protocols. We are going to take your temperature before you get on board. I mean, it might not matter to us, but it's going to matter to a lot of people. So they've got to say what they're going to do. I mean, I watched a video the other day about a hotel room, and they had this machine that spread ultraviolet light. Did anyone see that?
No.
Oh my
God. Using them in hospitals. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how they cleaned the room. It just went, there was this little like canister thing, and it just went with this ultraviolet light around and around the room. And that's how it cleaned it. It was fascinating.
I thought you were going to say it showed where all the stuff was. And I was like, I don't want to see that.
No. It cleaned it. It was amazing.
Real quick, speaking of hotels, I've been told this since I was a little kid, and it's become more and more relevant as I've gotten, let's say, a little more mature. If the hotels were held to the same reporting standards as cruise lines are, you would never stay in a hotel again. You would be terrified.
Right.
As a matter of fact, to your point, Chad, when I travel with what I've been washing hands way before it was cool to wash hands. I just want everyone to know that I've been doing that. I've been cool for a long time, but I always take wet ones with me to hotels. I never worry about when I get on a cruise ship. I never wipe anything down on a cruise ship, but I do in a hotel. So to your point.
Well, we've got some questions that have come in that I want to pop over to. So we've got one from Dale Holsty, who said he appreciates everyone's optimism for sure, but if there's a second wave, he's having a hard time thinking that these tour operators, cruise lines, etc., can ride through a second storm, which I think, is a reality that there might be a second wave. So what are your thoughts on how the travel industry companies can survive this? Jen?
I think we have to just go. I think we have to go for it and see success before the next potential wave happens. If we can see some success and build it up during the time frame where the second wave, because what's the second wave supposed to be? September, October.
Yeah, I think it's all over the place.
Yeah, it is. It's all over the place. It's just like anything else. There's always going to be a second wave to it. But if we can get people traveling and get back out there traveling, getting on a cruise ship for several months, and then there's a second wave, I don't think it's going to be nearly as detrimental, because we will have done everything, and people have been like, we didn't die 2 months ago. So I think I'm going to be okay. So I personally think, and I'm not Pollyanna, I don't study the stocks like Chad does. I need to call him now on a weekly basis. But for me, I look at human behavior, and human behavior says they don't like to be cooped up. They want a chance to be able to say, yep, I'm okay. And then they're going to, without a doubt, not take as much, not have as much angst over the second wave, because we made it through the first wave.
And you know what, Steph, I also think, or Dale, is it that asked the question?
Yep.
Yeah, Dale, I also think that now we have been educated. We now know what to do. We now know if you are vulnerable, then maybe you just don't go. If you think a little bit, maybe you do wear your mask. You start taking wet ones, just like Jen does. Of course, my husband always has too. He's a germaphobe. So we've always had those. He's always wiped down airline seats and everything. But it's not new to us anymore. We've been through it. We're educated. So, and there are some people that are still going to be scared, absolutely. But there'll be a lot of people that I think we mentioned before, take the leap. They'll calculate the risk, and they'll say, I'm going.
Chad, anything to add for Dale on how the companies can make it through the second wave?
Yeah, Dale, everybody watching, let me be real clear. We should eliminate the word might as it pertains to a second wave. The second wave will occur. The size, scope, and intensity of it is yet to be determined. The difference between the first wave and the second wave will be, as has already been mentioned, our preparedness for it, period. And we have to understand that confidence is, I know I cite the market all the time. My background is educational psychology. So just bear with me for a second. Confidence is a function of perception, right? How you perceive yourself and how you perceive others. Consumer confidence will be a function of perspective or perception as well. So does the consumer perceive it as an environment that everything's been done that's possible to be done? So let's go ahead and take this calculated risk. So the second wave will come, and we should tell consumers, yeah, be ready, make sure you got a stash of masks and all that. But here's what we know we can do to mitigate its potential impact on you. We know that we can do X, Y, and Z. Call Kelly's husband. She's got wipes. Chad's got a box of masks. Okay. Take those extra steps. And now you kind of have some idea about what you're getting yourself into. Now you're a Boy Scout as a traveler.
Right.
As opposed to, a sheep to the, I'm not going to say, but, you're not going into a dark cave. You've got a flashlight. You can at least kind of see your way around. So get your consumers in that mindset that, yes, this has been bad. Yes, something's going to happen again. And we've learned so much from this first one that the second one, I think, will be a lot more manageable.
And I also think there'll be some therapeutics available. I mean, there already is one.
Absolutely.
Remdesivir, right? That one. I think we're going to see some more come out. So that will be very helpful too.
There's also some questions from some new agents. So we have one from Emily Oz, that as a new agent, what advice is there for which vendors to look to start relationships to align within the current climate? And Emily, I would talk with your host agency about that. Because they're going to be the ones that have the strong relationships, and they'll be able to be the ones that will tell you these are the ones that right now we feel are the strongest and that fit what the experience you're looking to give your clients. So reach out to your host agency.
And real quick on that, at the end of the day, your host agency has no incentive whatsoever to blow smoke.
Right.
110%. Look, even if we got $100 for every time we told you to use a vendor that was going to be out of business, it wouldn't be worth it to us. No. We have an intensely vested interest in telling you the straight information, as straight as possible. So rely on your host. Talk to them. Climb up the chain. Talk to the boss. Talk to the people you see in front of you right now, and get their honest opinion, because we will give you our honest insights based on everything we know.
Because we're liable, we can be liable. So we want to make sure, just like Chad said, we give you the straight scoop. Can I just say to Emily, I think this is absolutely the best time for a new person to get into the industry. Absolutely. I mean, people are asking me that. Why would they come into the travel industry? This is perfect for you because you've got to slow down. When you book things, you're going to have to wait for money anyhow. This is the perfect time to learn your craft, learn your trade, get it down pat, set up your marketing while it's not all crazy and cuckoo. So good for you, Emily.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to this fabulous industry.
Yeah, we've also got Marissa Lopez on, who's also another new agent. So welcome, Marissa. We're going to use this to answer Marissa's question. So Marissa is wondering, will suppliers lower our commissions like airlines after 9/11? Okay, so we've got 3, 4, 7, and 8. Jen, what number?
7.
There's I killed a bug when I was doing that. Whoops.
That's what happened to those suppliers that they lower our commissions. We'll kill
it.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, that tells you the answer right there.
Now, Marissa, this is very wise, so listen up. A chocolate chip cookie will fix everything. Yes,
it will. Yes, it will.
But Marissa, I don't think there will be any commission cuts. Like we said earlier, the travel agency distribution channel is so strong and so profitable. For vendors, they really need the travel agency partners to make it through this. And I think they learned their lesson, about cutting commissions and those relationships, and everything's been mended and it's full circle again and it's kumbaya, except for there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah, they are going to need us more than ever. They're going to need us more than ever. So yeah, I remember, and this is for the old timers in the audience, Renaissance Cruises, who went exclusively direct to the consumer, and then 9/11 happened and they instantly went out of business. So yeah.
They wouldn't dare mess with us.
Well, while we're talking about suppliers, let's each have each of you share one supplier that's really stood out to you in their partnership with how they're working with agencies, and what's impressed you about it. So Kelly, do you want to start?
Yes, and I could name a lot. I really could. I mean, I could name all the cruise lines, but one that's
time constraints.
I know one that's really that I hear this on our Facebook group a lot is Delta Vacations.
That was mine, Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry. But see, we both agree. So there you go. Delta Vacations, they've been awesome. They've really, really worked with the agent. They've given refunds. They've done a great job. Yeah. Kudos to Delta Vacations.
Jen, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll take a cruise line. I think NCL has done a really great job with taking care of our agents. I think their computer systems have made it a lot easier for our agents to be able to take care of their clients, whether the FCC has been applied or not, they can still save it. Some of the promotions to get the supplier or the consumer to rebook right away, the tightness of here's an extra 20%, that stuff to me has made a huge difference. That's why we see those bookings a lot faster, and the extra commission. I think NCL has done a really good job. I love me some Royal Caribbean Carnival all day long. It's not that I don't love them, but NCL's kind of gotten it together. And Delta Vacation.
Brad, what about you?
I'm going to hang a left. I'm kind of known for that. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our consortium, Travel Leaders Group. I know they're not a vendor per se, but they've really stepped up to the plate. Communication's been excellent. They've doubled down on the future, and I have just so much respect for their leadership out there. I'm just really, really, I know they're not a vendor, but I needed to bring them up. Second, I want to mention AMA. They're a smaller competitor out there, but they're doubling down again. Look, I respect somebody that, God, please don't take me wrong, but when you're in a bad situation and your buddy backs you up, somebody's going to swing at you and your buddy's standing there. Everybody says I have your back. I respect the people that do.
Yep.
And they're doubling down on the future.
Yeah,
they're doubling down on the future, and I'm just totally impressed on that. They're investing financially in the future. They're making promises that they know they can keep, and they're investing in our future, the travel agency distribution model. So they recognize the value and they're investing in it. So I know they're not a huge vendor per se, but I think they deserve a shout out.
Yeah. And we're also getting lots of great comments in. So please continue to share those on the vendors that have really been supportive for you as advisors. So we've got a shout out from Dilworth for Vacation Express. Hey, Regina is also a Delta Vacations fan. And your tour guide to Cuba is also giving a second to Vacation Express. So that's great to hear. Please continue sharing those. I'd love to take a look at those later. So one thing I want to chat on is travel insurance, because I'm curious the future of travel insurance, and if this is going to be, well, two things. And there's a couple questions I want to get to, so we'll try to keep things moving. But with travel insurance, is it going to lead to a more clear future on what is and isn't included in travel insurance? And two, will travel advisors, will selling travel insurance be this really nice stream of income because everyone's going to be wanting it? So, Chad, why don't you take this one to start?
I like Jen for laughing at me because this is going to be a tough question here. Okay, so
go for it, guy.
I'm going to speak to the American consumer's mindset. I'm going to be brutally honest. We're not particularly sophisticated consumers. And we tend to have sophisticated. I mean, what we hear is that, I know somebody that didn't cover, so I'm never going to use travel insurance again. You know what I mean? We have this very binary approach to consumerism. It was good or it was bad. always, never.
Black or white.
So, yeah, black and white. So there's going to be, I call it the Facebook effect, a popularity thing. You know what I mean? This has to be the right answer because most people agree with it. That's not necessarily always the case. Having said that, we are really pushing with our agents to first of all, don't become an insurance agent. Don't interpret coverages and policies. Don't accidentally misrepresent something. If you ask the average American consumer what force majeure is, they'll think it's a topping that goes on creme brulee. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to berate anybody or put anybody down. We just have to remember that we, as consumers, have a lot of messaging coming at us, and typically we tend to boil it down to the simplest answer. So the simplest answer to your question, Stephanie, is yes, I think travel insurance will increase over time, just because there's a sense of security because of it. But I don't think it's going to be a huge surge. It should be, but I don't think it will be.
I agree with Chad. I think we need to use Stephanie's little thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because quite frankly, that's how clear as mud insurance is. To Chad.
No, we're really going to now, Jen.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, we have 1, 6, 2, and 5. Which number?
5.
Okay.
I think we've used odd numbers every time, haven't we, Chad?
This one is Rigel was here.
But of course. And so is Baxter. Baxter's here too. Come here, Bax.
Rigel's bombed my little fortune teller somehow.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think agents, to Chad's point, it's very confusing, and I think they're going to add it more often, but it's going to give that false sense of security that then could turn around and bite them in the butt later on. That when that second wave happens, if it does not cover COVID, it could give a false sense of security of, oh, good, I've got insurance, I don't need to worry about the rest of it.
Yeah, Jason Plank wrote in, and he said they need to fix the pandemic coverage. It needs to be included. So Kelly, anything else to add on that?
Well, and if they include it, it might have to be, that might be an option they add, and it adds a big premium to the policy. You know, I mean, a big amount to the premium on the policy, because, insurance companies can't predict this except, and we could get into it, we could do a whole new webinar on pandemics and what's going on with viruses. I read an article the other day, and it's kind of scary. They're out there all the time. So governments just have to get better at recognizing them and combating them. So.
Well, just like we all live in Florida, we pay extra for our homeowners insurance if it's a hurricane. It's one set of coverage when it's not a hurricane, and it's a different type of deductible if it is a hurricane. So it's
So
we've got a question that just came in from Vivek, and then we'll move to another question we've prepared. But what do you think about starting to accept bookings for July and August? What would you recommend, if they push those out or start booking them?
Depends on the type. Not a cruise, not in July.
Right.
That's true. It must not be for a cruise if it's in July. Let's say a non-cruise booking.
Domestic, I'd say yes. If it's a domestic travel, they want to go to St. Augustine and, in Florida, which is a great place, you bet. I think that would be okay.
Chad, any thoughts?
I think as agents, it's our obligation to help clients distill information and make reasonable decisions. So I would go on a case-by-case basis on that. If somebody wants to, fly down to Juarez, Mexico, I want to tell them they might get shot. It's controlled by the drug cartels. You know what I mean? So let's be cautious.
Yes.
In fact, I think there's some almost fiduciary responsibility that we share information that either we have or should have. They call it constructive knowledge in law. So to me, I would book clients, but I would advise them, not panic them, not overstress them, but gauge that particular booking in and of itself. Do they want to go to downtown London right now? You know what I mean? Are you sure about that? Or do they really want, they're in their 80s, and I'll use my parents as an example. They're approaching 80. My mom's very compromised in the respiratory system, and she had a wonderful cruise planned for this September. And I said, Mom, you've been my mom for a long time, and you've always been in charge, but you're not going, period.
Yeah. Right.
And there was some discussion. I think I almost got my rear spanked, to be honest with you. But she's not going out that door and going on that cruise, period. So I think that's the kind we need to look at our clients like family, like we care about them, because we do, and give them the best information we have and let them make their own informed decision.
It's ultimately up to them, up to the consumer. Yeah.
So
but
Emily,
be careful not to, I'm so sorry, Steph, but be careful not to mix your fears and concerns with their fears and concerns. As we say all the time, don't sell out of your own pocketbook. You should not sell from your own sense of fear or concern or lack of fear or lack of concern. Everybody is different. And we're talking about this quite a bit. We have people that are like, nobody wants to travel right now. Well, that's an untrue statement. You can't make an assertion that nobody wants to travel. That's an untrue statement. Everybody's comfortable. That's an untrue statement. It's a case by case business, and be wary. If you're in this industry and you're scared out of your mind, then you're going to have a tough time staying in business at this point, because unless you separate your fear and concern from your client's fears and concerns.
Well, this is a quick question. Emily wrote in again and is saying, are there any whispers about that any of you have heard about travel insurance companies offering some sort of pandemic-esque type of coverage? Anyone heard anything?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
The actuaries at the insurance companies are like, nope.
Yeah, right.
Not happening.
Nope.
Well, let's we've got time for one more question. So I guess a good one to end on would be, what do you see for, I mean, this is long term, quite a ways off, but in terms of how long do you think it will take to get back to pre-pandemic ish levels of travel? So, till like we have a healthy travel economy again.
I'm gonna let Chad answer that question. He's the one with the V's and the L's and the
W.
Sometimes I do interpretive dance, a little haiku. It's hard to say, but if I could do a little show and tell real quick. Hold on, seriously.
Oh my God, where is he going now?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Uh-oh.
Here we go, Chad.
My mom has had this exact bottle of vodka in her drawer since 1980 when she opened up her travel agency. She says that when everything goes to hell, it was her exact words, I'll crack this and I'll drink it. Okay. You'll notice that cap is still well attached, and I have yet to crack it. This is honest to God a true story.
I love it. I'll
tell you this. I have not opened this yet. I've thought about it seriously. Okay. I have not opened it yet. So to answer the question, when will it come back? It's going to come back sometime before I open that bottle. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Having said that, there's going to be, I think, some behavioral reinforcements that are coming. So we're going to make some bookings. Second wave is going to happen. More people are going to be okay than have been this first round. That's going to reinforce the confidence and the perception of the consumer, and therefore the confidence. And then there's going to be a big boom after that. I'm going to say that 9 months is going to be the sweet spot. Right around 6 to 9 months is going to be the sweet spot.
What month are we in? We're in May?
May.
Yeah.
You're saying December through March of next year.
Is when we're going to start seeing people really start digging in and start to get to that decision-making point. Will they put their money down? It might be just slightly after that. That'd be the 9 to 12 month range, but they're going to start getting serious in 6 to 12 months.
So I'll say 12 to 18.
Oof.
Yeah.
And she
see that. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, to get back to where we were.
To get back to normal. And of course, then there's the vaccine issue. If that hits at the end of the year, I heard some great things on CNBC this morning. Then, wow, Katie by the door. If that happens.
Yeah, that's a total game changer.
But that could be March. It could be June of 2021. So And therapeutics come into this also. And again, we talked about protocols and what people and what cruise lines and hotels are doing. But to be really normal, I'm kind of thinking next June, July.
Okay. Jen, do you have any?
I'm thinking by March, we should be rocking and rolling. I will throw it back to those that are listening to this or watching this. It is really in your hands how quick we come back. It is obviously we can't sell a ship that's sitting at port. We can sell it, but unless they come up with a way for us to do it, we have to pivot and find other places for us to sell, other things for us to sell. But it's 100% in your hands. It is not in the supplier's hands. It is not in our hands. It is 1000% in your hands, how quick this industry comes back and how much we bound together to make sure that happens. And every host agency out there I know is doing the absolute best job in getting you the education and the support and the resources and the feedback and the guidance and the arm in arm, and the suppliers are working really hard. But unless you do it, we're not going to get back there. I'm a firm believer.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I have Chad. I love your mom's optimism that this tiny little bottle of vodka is like what she needs when everything goes horribly south. She's like, a little shot.
Well, she weighs about 90 pounds soaking wet, so that'll get her.
This will be mine moving forward.
I knew we were going to get along great.
Yeah. Now, this is not really my office, but I do have 3 things of tequila right here.
Wow, that's intense.
There's no such thing as being too prepared, Jen.
No, babe.
Well, we're reaching the end, but we did get another question that came in from Debbie. Could you put a disclaimer that the travel agent isn't responsible if a pandemic occurs?
Not necessary.
No.
Yeah.
Because the contractual obligations between the client and the vendor.
Yeah.
Especially pertains to force majeure.
Yeah, I'm also not sure too, if you put a disclaimer, if that would do anything for you anyhow. So
speaking of disclaimers, I'm not an attorney. Don't quote me on that, but that's that's what I understand from the smart people.
Yeah,
it could be scary. It could maybe scare some people away.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because I also think there's some legal ground to be like, how did you not know there was a everyone knows there's a pandemic going on right now.
Right.
I wouldn't do business with somebody who,
doesn't know there's a pandemic, right?
Can you imagine buying a house from a real estate agent and at the bottom of their car it said "Caution, your house may burn down"?
Yeah.
you know.
There's a sinkhole. Caution, there could be an earthquake one day.
Yeah.
Hurricanes do come through the state of Florida. Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. That was listening in, for all the great questions and interactions. And Kelly, Jen, Chad, it was an absolute pleasure to hang out with you guys. I know.
I know.
We need to have happy hours. I don't have any alcohol in my office, but
whoa! I liked you. What happened? No, I'm joking.
I was feeling really left out. I'm glad Kelly didn't pull out something.
It's too far away. So can I just say one thing? And maybe everybody else wants to maybe end with something, but please know that this is horrible, but there will be things that come out of this that you can never imagine. Out of 9/11, the reason I'm sitting here talking to you guys today, the reason I live in Florida today is because of 9/11. Okay. And I won't go into the whole story, but because of 9/11, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So trust me, there is a brightness to the darkness. Mm-hmm. So I'll just leave you with that.
That's very true. I love this idea of ending it with kind of warm, fuzzy, good thoughts. So Jen, what do you have?
I would say, remember you're part of probably one of the most incredible stories that will be written and studied and researched and spoken about. Very similar to how 9/11, how New Yorkers must have felt at 9/11. Everyone had a story. You are smack in the middle of that story. You are a huge participant in that story, and you help write what it looks like moving forward. And so take that and understand that the way you handle your business, your clients, yourself, right? The way you pivot or not pivot really plays a role in this entire story. You make an impact as an individual, and take that seriously, because we're all relying on you.
Perfect. Chad.
I want to quote my grandfather. It takes a lot of poop to make roses. We're going through.
Sounds like my grandpa.
I love it.
This had like a way with words, my grandpa too. I totally get it, Chad.
I appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody, but the point is, it takes some bad stuff to make some good stuff. And I tend to believe in people and the innate goodness of people. And I think if you walk through a yard and you step in some stuff, you wipe off your shoes and you keep on walking. And eventually you get to where you need to be. So keep on keeping on. Stick with it. This too shall pass, and I think we'll come out better and stronger on the other side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're also getting quite a few comments for an encore panel, which is kind of
Sweet.
we only got to like half our questions because I wrote a bunch, but I knew this was a chatty group. So that's something we'll definitely look at.
I think we're going to get over our shyness someday. I think we're keep on working on it. We'll be all right.
She'll keep going to therapy.
Yeah.
So one thing I do want to mention for anyone that's watching and that's kind of looking for pivoting or a new way to bring in leads, that's going to be, we just dropped a new episode of Travel Agent Chatter, our podcast, and we did this really great group interview with 5 different travel podcast hosts. And we talk about exactly how to get a podcast started and why it's so valuable for you as a. Now, I started this podcast, had no idea what I was doing. Everybody else on there was pretty much like, yeah, I just pressed publish. I don't know. So if you're nervous, we'll
do it.
Yeah, we'll make you not nervous and walk you through everything. But it's a great way for right now in this pandemic. I mean, all these episodes you're going to do to talk about your expertise and put out there, those are going to work for you 5 years down the road and still get lead gen for, if you're doing something on a specific Jamaica property or, a different cruise ship, whatever it is. So make sure to check that out at hostagencyreviews.com/TAC, and it's episode 14 and 15. It's a great way to kind of pivot during this time. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we will